Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. From July 4th through August 26th, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a set of all 4 Commander 2019 decks. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. We have a lot to look at today. Commander 2019 previews over the previous week have really impacted some card prices. You're going to see that as we go through today, but there's more going on in the market as well, and we're going to cover all of it. Just a fast reminder, if you haven't picked up Commander 2019 decks yet and you still want to pre-order, FlipsideGaming.com did restock on pre-orders, and if you use the Heroes promo code, you can get all 4 for $126 and free shipping. Just wanted to let you know because I did have some questions about that. But without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to begin with our top 10 standard legal cards that have lost value this week. We are doing 10. There's a lot going on in standard. Because we are approaching rotation, a lot of cards are losing value. Let's see what's happening here. In addition to the top 10, I do have one honorable mention, that is Search for Azcanta. That goes down 92 cents this week to $7.99. Now, of course, rotation is coming for this card. That's why it's losing value relatively quickly here. This does see standard play, though, still in Esper Control, Simic Nexus, Jeskai Super Friends, Dimir Control, and more. But it's not doing a whole lot outside of standard right now. This stands to lose more value in the coming weeks. Number 10, Karn, Scion of Urza, goes down 92 cents to $11.07. This is a card that's getting close to rotation as well, but this hasn't seen a whole lot of standard play recently. Some standard players may have been hanging on to copies just in case, but they are letting them go now. Modern, this card was seeing more play not too long ago, but ever since Karn the Great Creator came out, sort of pushed this out of some builds. You still see it sometimes in Eldrazi builds or some other places, but not as often as you used to. In Legacy, kind of the same story. It still sees a little Legacy play, though. Vintage is where the card is maybe the most appealing because there's a lot of folks playing Karn Shops right now. That deck runs both this as well as Karn the Great Creator. Number 9, Nicol Bolas, the Ravager, down 97 cents to $14.26. This is honestly seeing virtually no play at this point, and it is rotating out very soon anyway. Grixis Control has kind of fallen off in standard. That was the deck running this. Still shows up occasionally, but it's not putting up any big results right now. When it comes to the modern Grixis Control decks that were trying to run this, kind of the same story. Many of them have dropped the card, and many of them also have fallen out of that format as well. Number 8 is Rekindling Phoenix, down $1.01 to $4.43. So this card is another one that is seeing virtually no play at this point. This was a very powerful card in standard for a very long time, but as more and more cards entered the format, this saw less and less play. Combine that with the fact that this isn't doing a whole lot in other formats either, and it even got some extra copies pushed out with the Lightning Aggro Challenger deck a while back. Put it all together, this is going to be a very, very cheap card very soon. Number 7, the Immortal Sun, goes down $1.16 to $16.74, and more of the same here. Another card rotating, seeing virtually no play at this point, even in standard. Although there are players that would want a copy for Commander or Oathbreaker, so I would just tell those players to wait a little bit. This is going to lose some more value in the coming weeks. Number 6 is Steam Vents. Now, this is the one from Guild Pact. It goes down $1.21 to $22.49. Just some normal stabilization. Some of these Shocklands, especially the original ones, have been going up and down a little bit. This sees playing standard and Jeskai Super Friends and more decks there. Modern, it's in some big decks like Is It Phoenix, 4-color Hogak, or Zethopter Sword, and more. Number 5 is Angelic Guardian. This goes down $1.24 to $5.30. This is one of those core set 2020 cards that you will not find in booster packs. You can find one copy of this in the Spellslinger starter kit. Now, this was a foil in the gift pack last year, so if some collectors wanted to pick up a non-foil copy of the card, the Spellslinger starter kit this year is the only place to do so. Because of that, some people have inflated the price online. Don't pay these prices. At least it is starting to come down. Number 4, a Leyline of Sanctity, recently reprinted in Core Set 2020, making it standard legal. Magic 2011 goes down $1.36 to $10.79. Modern Masters 2015 goes down $1.46 to $9.99. This isn't seeing a ton of standard play right now. It shows up here or there in sideboard. Sometimes if the deck's playing Masterminds Acquisition especially, they'll run a copy. Now, aside from that, this is a good sideboard card for Modern as well as Legacy. This is going to defend against burn, discard effects, and mill effects. Number 3, Immortal Phoenix, down $1.61 to $3.72. Everything I just said about Angelic Guardian, cut and paste over here, same exact story. Number 2 is Leyline of the Void, down $1.79 to $25.25. This is the one from Magic 2011, also reprinted in Core Set 2020, part of the reason the card is a little soft this week. However, this card doesn't see a whole lot of standard play. This is all about Modern and Legacy, especially Modern right now because of those Hogak builds. Hogak is everywhere in the format, but this is also good against some other decks, Classic Dredge as well as the Phoenix builds. Because of this, there's people even main decking this card right now in the format. Now, if you're not main decking it, most likely you have copies in your sideboard. However, the writing is on the wall that a week from Monday, most likely Hogak will be banned in Modern. That could be why this card is going down this week as well. Number 1, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, goes down $2.93 to $23.99 as this card slowly becomes more affordable as it closes in on rotation. Now, it is still a standard all-star. There are standard players keeping their copies because they are currently using the card. You're going to find this in Esper Tempo, Esper Control, Jeskai Super Friend, sometimes in Batscape Shift sideboards as well. But this card does see play outside of standard. Modern Control builds, Snow Shift sometimes will run it too. It won't lose all its value, but it's going to lose more in the coming weeks. Okay, on to the top 5 standard legal cards that have gained value this week. I do have one honorable mention, and that is Mystic Forge. It goes up 27 cents to $2.99. Now, that's not a huge increase, but this is a Core Set 2020 rare. A lot of packs are being opened, so it does say something that this card is going up at all. What does it say? Well, I'll tell you what it doesn't say. It doesn't say that it's seeing a lot of standard play because that's not the case. However, Modern, this is showing up in a number of decks. Eldrazi Tron and Affinity sideboards. There's also a Mystic Forge Tron deck out there that runs 4 copies of this in the main. MTG Goldfish did a Mystic Forge combo deck a little over a week ago on their website. Also put a video up on YouTube, so that got some more attention on the card as well. Legacy, this is in Bomberman. Vintage, Shops builds run this. And also, remember, Commander 2019 is right around the corner. People are picking up cards to upgrade those decks. One deck that might want this card is the Faceless Menace Morph deck. Because of the way the rules are, this actually does interact with Morph cards. Also, the Mystic Intellect deck would be interested, mostly because of Elsha of the Infinite. These cards work really well together because the Forge can go ahead and push a card into exile if it's blocking your path on top of the deck, or just between the two of them, there's different cards you can play off the top of your deck so you can go further down. Number 5 is Veil of Summer. It's up 31 cents to $2.94. Again, not a big climb here, but this one's an uncommon from Core Set 2020. Why is this going up? Because it's a big sideboard card right now. You're going to find this in Bant Scape Shift, Bant Ramp, Jund Dinosaurs, and more in Standard. Modern, you'll find this out of sideboards now in Tron, Neobrand, and other decks. Legacy, this is in Ad Nauseam Tendrils, among other decks there too. Number 4 is Scape Shift. This is the one from Morningtide. It goes up 31 cents to $22.69. So, of course, this card will rotate out of Standard pretty soon, but it has had an incredible season as part of the Bant Scape Shift deck, as well as some other variations on that deck that have been out there. Now, even though this is going to be leaving Standard, obviously this Morningtide copy is hard to find in good condition nowadays, so it is still creeping up, and it still sees a fair amount of modern play. Titan Shift, Titan Breach, and Snow Shift decks all run this. Number 3 is Assassin's Trophy. It goes up 37 cents to $13.39. Here's a card that is not going to rotate out of Standard. Part of the reason it is going up, I do think this stands to get better as we go into rotation and we lose a lot of cards in Standard. But this is also a card that sees play in other places. Currently, when it comes to Standard, you see some sideboard play, but not a ton right now. Modern, though, this is in Hogak builds, Jund, Dredge, some huge decks there. Legacy, you'll find this sometimes in Hogak sideboards. Sultai Depths decks out of the side. Vintage, you'll find this in the main of Sultai midrange, so it is still seeing a lot of play outside of Standard. Number 2 is Breeding Pool. This is the one from Ravnica Allegiance. It goes up 41 cents to $17.40. As you know, the Bant color combination has been pretty popular in Standard this season. Bant Scape Shift, Bant Ramp, and more. Modern Neobrand decks run this, Infect, Snow Shift, Bant Spirits, and a whole lot of others there too. Number 1 is Leyline of Anticipation from Core Set 2020. It goes up $1.13 to $4.97. Not only is this a reprint, but it is a rare from a set that is being opened in big quantities right now. So why is this going up over $1? It doesn't see Standard play really, doesn't see Modern play really, but it does see Commander play. It is a great competitive Commander card especially. Now, Commander 2019 is coming, and yes, this card does play well with some of the cards we are getting there. Kadena Slinking Sorcerer is one example of that from the Faceless Menace Morph deck. Savine the Chronoclasm is another example, which is in the Mystic Intellect Flashback deck. There are a lot of content creators currently talking about upgrades for these Commander 2019 decks, and they are putting a focus on a number of cards this week. Leyline of Anticipation is one of them. The Command Zone podcast and MTG Goldfish are the biggest influencers out there this week, but there are a lot of content creators making articles and videos, so I'm not going to mention the names of everybody for every card going up because of Commander 2019, but just know that. Okay, let's move on to Modern with the top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 5, Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is the one from Eternal Masters down 275 to 129.03. Jace is on one of these lists every week. We see these Jaces go up, we see them go back down. I mentioned last week, I just feel like about $130 is the ceiling for this card. If you're going to spend much more than that on a card, you kind of want to buy a vintage, reserve list card, something like that, unless you really, really need this for a deck quickly. Now, with that being said, this card does see a ton of play. Modern Control builds, sometimes Snow Shift will also run this. Legacy Miracles, Azorius Stoneblade, Grixis Control, 4-color Leovold. This card shows up in Vintage, Commander, Oathbreaker, it's everywhere. Number 4 is Living End. It goes down $2.83 to $20. This card was seeing a fair amount of play in these As Foretold Living End decks in Modern for a while. Those have kind of fallen off. I mean, this still sees a little Modern play, but not as much as it was seeing a few months ago. Because of that, this loses value this week, although it could stabilize sooner than later because it is a good upgrade for one of the new Commander 2019 decks, the Merciless Rage Madness deck. Number 3, Chalice of the Void from Meriden. It goes down $2.86 to $70.25. Still sees a ton of play, but this card was spiking very aggressively, especially for this original version recently. Not too surprising to see some normalization here. This is in Tron builds, Eldrazi builds, Affinity, and other decks in Modern. Legacy, Mono Red Prison, 4-color Loam. This sees vintage play as well. Number 2 is Auntie's Hovel. This goes down $3.14 to $26.35. Again, not too surprising to see this decrease. This is another card that has been super hot recently. It's been climbing aggressively, so it was due for some normalization, but there's more to the story than just that. Modern Horizons, as well as Core Set 2020, really gave us the pieces to build that Modern Goblins deck, but unfortunately, it hasn't been performing all that well recently. Now, it can still put up a good result here or there, but I do think it is performing under a lot of people's expectations. Things could change if Hogak does get banned. That will definitely shake up the format, but at least for right now, this card is very soft. Outside of Modern, Commander players that are playing Goblins will still want this, or just casual players that are playing Goblin Tribal at their kitchen table. There will always be a market for this card, but it does stand to lose more value potentially. Number 1 is Scalding Tarn from Modern Masters 2017. It goes down $4.60 to $95. So this is a little surprising. Fetch lands have been super hot. This one's losing a lot of value this week. But again, we're seeing more normalization. This card has been increasing aggressively recently because it's in some big Modern decks. Is it Phoenix, Burn, Dredge, just to name a few? Also, this sees play in Legacy and Vintage. This will stabilize, but then it will start creeping back up again. I have no doubt these cards are just very sought after. And until there is another reprint, ultimately they'll continue to rise. Okay, let's move on to the top 5 Modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 5 is Godsire. It goes up $1.58 to $8.40, not because of Modern, but because of the Primal Genesis Commander 2019 deck, which is a Populate deck. Number 4, Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni. This is from Betrayers of Kamigawa. It goes up $1.62 to $11.26. Another card that is not moving because of Modern, but because of Commander. And you're going to see a lot of that this week. Commander is just super hot. Now, this is a rat, and it's a ninja. Players that like Ninja Tribal, players that like Rat Tribal, they're both interested in this card. Number 3 is Muruganda Petroglyphs. This goes up $1.73 to $7. Yet another card that is moving because of Commander. This card was hot recently because of the Bear Tribal builds, but now people are picking this up as an upgrade to the Faceless Menace Morph deck. Number 2, okay, here's a Modern card, Mox Opal, the original one from Scars of Meriden. It goes up $2.25 to $104.88. This has been a huge card in some big decks. There's a Thopter Sword, Hardened Scales, the regular version of Affinity as well, or Prison and more. Legacy, some Storm builds will use this. Vintage, Karn Shop's Paradoxical Outcome. This is another one of those cards that I do think is around its ceiling, though. Feels like about $100 to $105 is where this card goes. Don't know if it will go too much higher, at least in the short term. Number 1 is a new card to the Market Watch, Psychic Puppetry. Goes up $3.03 to $3.25, and yes, this is moving because of Modern. There is a Twiddle Storm build putting up some good results running 4 copies of this in the main. MTG Goldfish also recently featured that deck as a budget Modern deck. Got a lot of people interested in it, and here you see the climb. Okay, let's move on to our Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that see play in Vintage, Legacy, 93, 94, or sometimes just cards that are popular among collectors. Also, one thing I want to point out, I typically don't talk about Portal 3 Kingdoms cards or Alpha or Beta because it's just really hard to track accurate prices. There's not a lot of sales for those cards at any given time online because they are very hard to find. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is because you might have noticed Portal 3 Kingdoms cards are being massively manipulated this week. I'm not going to cover those cards specifically, but just be aware of it. Looks like they're being bought out and then listed at extremely high prices, which is creating artificial inflation. So be careful. Don't buy any of those cards. Just do your research. And if you're lucky enough to have a local game store that deals in those cards, that is most likely the best way to go. Okay, on to the cards with Gaia's Cradle. This is, of course, from Urza's Saga. It did get a reprint, even though it is on the reserve list as a Judge promo and foil, back before they closed that loophole on the reserve list. This goes up 504 this week to 350, 747, and it does see play in Legacy and Maverick decks as well as Elves decks. Next, we have Bad Moon from Unlimited. It goes up 1596 to 98.95 this week. Unlimited cards started to heat up again. They were quiet for a couple weeks, but now you're seeing people going back to the marketplace and you're seeing some spikes. Here's one example of that. Here's another one, Vesuvan Doppelganger. It goes up $23.47 to $80.22. This one, though, is on the reserve list, but it did get reprinted and revised. Taiga from Unlimited is here, going up $36.74 to $361.23, also on the reserve list, also in revised, though. Third verse, same as the first, Wheel of Fortune. This is an Unlimited card that is on the reserve list, but did get a reprinting and revised. It's up $50.01 to $400. Drop of Honey. Okay, here's one from Arabian Nights. It goes up $68.99 this week to $769.97, also on the reserve list. Bazaar of Baghdad. This is, again, another card on the reserve list from Arabian Nights. It goes up $209 to $1,899. Now, mostly this is going up this week because there's some higher grade copies out there on the marketplace, but this does see Vintage, Dredge, and Survival play. More Unlimited Dual Lands this week with Savannah. This one is on the reserve list as well. Also got reprinted and revised. It goes up $294.98 to $789.98. This is also an example of a card that has some higher grades out there in the market this week. Same story with the last two cards in this section. Mox Pearl goes up $325 to $3,019.44. This is the one from Unlimited. Of course, this is on the reserve list. As is this, Unlimited Mox Ruby goes up $542.19 to $2,712.16. Time for the Commander Spotlight. As usual, there are a lot of cards to look at here today, and I will go pretty quickly. I won't go into every single detail about every card, but I will give you the highlights. Also, like I mentioned earlier, some of the cards are moving, at least in part, to the focus from content creators when it comes to Commander 2019 upgrades. I won't go into all the details on that as we go through, but just be aware of it. Primal Beyond. This goes up $1.16 to $13.13. This is a Morning Tide rare, so I'm going to use my one per video. Cards from this time period of Magic, they did have a lower print run compared to other modern era Magic cards. So when there's a little attention on them, sometimes they get spiky, and that's what you're seeing here. This is a card that Commander players have been picking up, obviously Core Set 2020, with Omnith Locus of the Royal and some of the other Elemental cards there, have gotten people building Elemental decks. But also, there's a modern Elemental deck running this card, so that's something to keep an eye on. Una, Queen of the Fae. This goes up $1.35 to $12.35. This is the one from Shadowmoor, also from that time period. Now, this has been hot for a few weeks because of Throne of Eldraine. I won't go into all the details we talked about in previous videos, but we know there's going to be some fairies in Throne of Eldraine. That did bring some attention to the existing ones out there. Also, with Painter Servant becoming unbanned in Commander, this card got better because of that too. Phyrexian Arena, this is the one from 8th edition. It goes up $1.53 to $11.49. This is a good Commander card. I mean, every once in a while this card creeps up, and I think that's what you're seeing here. In particular, the 8th edition copy must be drying up a little bit in the marketplace this week. It also might have something to do with this guy right here, Carrick, Son of Yawgmoth. Now, you'll find this in the Merciless Rage deck in Commander 2019. A lot of people are already thinking about pulling this out and either putting it into their existing Yawgmoth build or building around it completely. Scroll Rack from Tempest. It goes up $1.56 to $60.87. Just a classic Commander card here, but it does work well with a couple of the new cards we're getting from Commander 2019. We saw Elsha of the Infinite earlier from the Mystic Intellect deck. This will play very well with that card because you can manipulate what's on top of your deck a little bit. This also plays well with a card from the Primal Genesis deck that is Atla Palani Nest Tender. Again, manipulating what's on top of your deck will work well with this card too. Vedalken Orrery from Conspiracy goes up 211 to $29.99. Another classic commander card here, very similar to Leyline of Anticipation in some ways. I actually like Leyline of Anticipation better, but this is colorless, which is nice. It will fit into any deck. But with that being said, part of the reason it's going up this week is the fact that it plays well with a lot of these new cards from Commander 2019. A couple that we've already seen, like Kadena Slinking Sorcerer, for example, or Savine the Chronoclasm. Just generally, this could be good in the flashback deck. These are two that don't include blue, Chainer Nightmare Adept from Merciless Rage, and Marisi Breaker of the Coil from Primal Genesis. Primordial Mist, this is a card from Commander 2018 that has yet to be reprinted. It goes up 220 to 285. Perfect, of course, for the Faceless Menace Morph deck. Here's another card that just belongs in that deck. Ixidor Reality Sculptor goes up $234 to $17. Another card that is yet to see a reprint. Angus Mackenzie. Now this is a reserve list card from Legends. It goes up $271 to $195.50. Kind of expensive, but it is a very cool commander card for things like Pillow Fort. Here's Vigor, and this is the Duels of the Planeswalker copy. It goes up $281 to $889. Now this is a good card in any creature heavy deck running green. It could be an upgrade for Primal Genesis, for example, but I do think this is moving more because this particular version of the card is drying up this week more than anything. Words of Wind, this goes up $306 to $842. This will play well with Kadena Slinking Sorcerer from the Faceless Menace deck. Renewing Touch, this is the one from Portal Second Age. It goes up $315 to $675. This is an interesting card, but I do think it's mostly moving again because it is drying up in the marketplace a little this week. These Portal and Portal Second Age cards are getting harder and harder to find in good condition. Mischievous Quanar, this goes up $343 to $453. Yet another card you might want to put in that Faceless Menace Morph deck. Nesting Dragon goes up $354 this week to $874. Another card from Commander 2018 that of course has yet to be reprinted. And this is a great card to play with Atla Palani Nesttender, who we saw earlier. Equilibrium, 2 copies here. Exodus goes up $262 to $753. 7th edition goes up $542 to $15. Now this card has moved recently because people have been playing it in Yarok the Desecrated decks. But now here's another card that you might want to upgrade Faceless Menace with. It is going to play well with Kadena Slinking Sorcerer. Also, Chulainn Teller of Tales. We haven't talked about this card yet this week. This is a preview card from Throne of Eldraine, which will be found in a Brawl Precon deck and the Collector Boosters. And this is another card that a lot of people are already trying to put a build together for. Balthor the Defiled goes up $1809 to $22.99, and this card would be a great upgrade to the Merciless Rage Madness deck. Now here's another card that has yet to be reprinted, and that's kind of what you're seeing here. Cards that are hard to find. Old cards that haven't been reprinted or maybe haven't been reprinted in a long time. Cards that were just printed once in a supplemental product. Those are the ones that are going to spike the most aggressively if they happen to be a good upgrade to the Commander 2019 decks. Now there's a lot of other cards out there that could be good upgrades, but they're easier to find in good condition, so they might be going up a few cents here or there, but they might not make our list today like this one did. Okay, on to Pauper, a few cards to take a look at today. First we have Ancestral Mask from Mercadian Masks. This goes up 11 cents to $1.49. This has been in the Hexproof decks, which are now turning into Snow Hexproof. Next is Rhystic Study from Prophecy. It goes up 16 cents to $19.42. This sees a little Pauper play, sometimes in Mono Blue Delver, for example, but this is really moving because of Commander this week. This is a Commander staple, and another card that would be a good upgrade for any deck playing blue, so that does include Faceless Menace or Mystic Intellect. Horn Sliver, this goes up 20 cents to $7.86 from Tempest. This sees play in Pauper Slivers as well, of course, as Commander Slivers, which have been popular recently too. Ash Barrens, this continues to be a staple for Pauper. Commander 2016 up 22 cents to $3.54. Masters 25 up 23 cents to $3.55. Now here's what's weird. There's going to be a copy of this in each Commander 2019 deck, so there's going to be a lot of reprints incoming. Even so, these copies are still going up right now. Bojuka Bog, 3 copies to talk about this week. Commander 2013 up 10 cents to $2.67. Commander 2014 up 16 cents to $2.81. Commander up 23 cents to $4.32. This sees Pauper play in a lot of places. Snow Mardu Monarch, which is very popular right now. Mono Black Control, Pestilence builds, Tron. And this sees play in other formats. Modern, Amulet Titan, Legacy, Hogak, Depths builds, Land builds. Vintage, you'll see this card sometimes too. Now, this is another card that is getting a reprint in Commander 2019. It's not in all 4 decks, but it is in the Faceless Menace deck, so more copies are incoming. With that being said, though, it could be a good upgrade to the Merciless Rage deck because it is not included there. But again, regardless of the upcoming reprint, these versions of the card are still going up this week. Pyroblast from Eternal Masters goes up 32 cents to $3.94. This sees a fair amount of Pauper sideboard play now, also sees play out of sideboards in Legacy and Vintage. Arkham's Astrolabe. This goes up 39 cents to $1.23, one of the new cards for Modern Horizons. And this has become a Pauper staple very, very quickly. You find this all over the place now. Sometimes it will show up in Snow decks, sometimes Control builds, Tron builds, and more. Also, this sees Modern play in the very popular Urzethopter Sword deck. Okiba Gang Shinobi. This is the one from Plane Chase Anthology. It goes up 39 cents to $2.50. This card has been very hot recently. It's been in Snow Mardu Monarch, some Pestilence builds as well. Also a card you'll see in Commander from time to time. It is another Rat Ninja. Onto the Premium Spotlight. I know I say this every week, but I'll give my quick disclaimer. I don't like to spend too much time on foils or rare promos because they are hard to track when it comes to pricing and be accurate. There's just not that many sales in any given week of these cards in the online marketplace. Also, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about those Portal 3 Kingdoms cards, they can be easily manipulated at times, but I do like to at least show you one card that is moving along with the market. Today, I went with Balthor the Defiled. This is the foil version from Judgment. It goes up $7.98 to $25. Of course, we talked about this card earlier and why it was moving up. That concludes the Market Watch for today. Until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.